Forward to this community. Welcome to our first sales call of 2026. And Shania is going to talk about how events change lives. And I really have no clue what you're going to say, so I'm excited to hear this.
Awesome. Thanks so much for listening in. So, just before we get started today about these events changing lives, I really want to give a shout out to Alex Hormozzi's podcast, The Game, and then also Macy McNeely, both her School of Sales podcast and her Macy McNeely YouTube channel. She does a remarkable job explaining sales skills, and a lot of the things that we implement as a company come from trainings like the Game podcast and then Macy's content school skills as well. So, first things first, obviously, why your events sell. Okay, so Kelly, what can you say about some events that you've done that have really helped patients throughout your, over 10 years of practice in this concierge space?
Okay, so you're talking about events where you have access to patients, not events that
Yes.
we as providers attend. That's why I was like, this is a surprise. I don't know what you're going to
Yes,
say.
that's
Yeah,
exactly right. So this would be
okay.
back to your like tennis match days, anything where you've
Yes,
done, your events. Yeah, I just want
yeah,
you to kind of
yeah.
speak a little bit to that.
Yeah, I mean, number one, like you want to help your community. That's why we're in it, right? And that's a
Yep.
community event. And so
Hmm.
it just speaks to like the very nature of like your mission, or I'm saying you, plural, of most
Yeah.
of our providers' missions is like we want to impact the people that we're around every day,
Hmm.
day in and day out, right?
Right.
And so by going to the community events, it allows that. It also is like people are just it kind of keeps you top of mind, like they're just seeing you
Yep.
interacting. And I always will plant people, so I'll plant patients. So I'll be like, can you come at this time and I'm going to do stretches on you? Can you come at this time? I'm going to do cupping on you. Even when I first started at the volleyball gym where I work, I called a parent and said, can you bring your kid up here at 6 p.m. for free? I'm going to do cupping
Hmm.
and stretching because I knew there
That's
was
the
going to be a
next
lot of
point.
traffic. Yeah, there was
Hmm.
going to be a lot of traffic. So I wanted people to see what I do because people don't know always what we do and how we can help them until they see it. And I mean, they're literally there just to like interact with other people in the community themselves. So that's a great
Hmm.
opportunity.
So the big point with the people at the events in the community, like your patients and clients, there's a low barrier to entry, right? So when you bring someone in, that makes someone else think, oh, I can do this too. So I love that because that was one of my key
Hmm.
points of like, it's a low barrier to entry. There's no monetary exchange yet. And that's where we get into like the free and the VIP. So the free is more of what Alex Ramosi really casts his mindset on, like giving some free services, whether it be for testimonials, for reputability, anything like that. And then the VIP is what Macy will often do. Like if you've ever heard of any of her training, like a VIP week, VIP discount, etc. And that really reels people in. So maybe, people walk by in the volleyball gym, they see you treating your friend's son or daughter, and they're like, oh, my kid's been having knee pain for 3 weeks, but I've done nothing about it. So what does that do? So your people then want to transform. And what do they feel? They feel emotion. So they're emotionally tied because they know that their kid could also benefit from the volleyball gym services. So that's
Hmm.
good because emotion leads to like devotion. You're dedicated to the services. And then there's an emotional tie because there's community members there that they see and know, but then also you're getting them in free or VIP so that they're quote unquote, entering with a super low barrier. So I love that. So I think the next point, this really ties in nicely to why events decrease skepticism and build loyalty. So when you do treatment on that, son or daughter of the friend, what do you feel like that does from a communal standpoint of people seeing you do that treatment?
Hmm. What do I feel? Say that question one more time. I'm going to process
So,
it.
yeah, no, it's good. So, what do you feel like the communal event, like when you're performing that treatment at 6 p.m., what do you feel like that's doing for like those seeing you perform the treatment, meaning prospective clients and patients?
It's that trust bridge, right? Like if they're all over here and you're over
Yep.
here working, we got
Yep.
to get them over. And so that
So,
interest that sparked emotion puts them in motion, right? That's what we
yep.
learned in our sales training. So
Love
just
it.
to get them over that bridge and to be like,
Mm-hmm.
oh, she is skillful, she is knowledgeable, she is helpful. I want those things for my
Mm-hmm.
kid or for myself.
Yep. So that's exactly right. You hit it on the head. So it's decreasing doubt about PT. Like we don't know where they've been or what they've heard about physical therapy services. Also decreases uncertainty about where to start. They didn't know what to do with their kid for knee pain. Maybe they thought they had to go see their PCP before coming to you, and here you are treating someone, on the spot at 6 p.m. when they're coming to volleyball practice, and they didn't even know that was a thing. And then
Right.
maybe they've been feeling defeated because they're living through their child, because the child is irritated and annoyed that they've been put on the bench because their knee's hurting, so they can't jump or spike or hit or do anything, because every time they land, the knee's impairing them. So I think those are the big key points. And then I think with all of this, like they see it firsthand.
Mm-hmm.
So that's super important, because when you see it, majority of society is a visual learner, you really understand that transformation. So it kind of relates back to the emotional ties here. So obviously, like when they see it, there's that emotional piece of, oh, I could see my son or daughter doing the same because someone else is getting better. So with that, I just wanted to provide a few more examples. The one that Kelly you provided was absolutely phenomenal, but I think too, like we got to remember, like maybe it's not just the kids that are part of it. Like it might be an
Mm-hmm.
active dad who, wants to be able to skate around the hockey rink, or a retired grandparent who, is on drop off and pickup duty because the parents are out of town, where they're like, dang, like I want to be able to get on and off the floor and come watch these games. So maybe it's like the other people who we don't always think about might be involved too, or a mom who wants to show up for family Christmas card photos and stand for greater than 60 minutes or watch that volleyball match without having low back pain. So I think too, we got to
Mm-hmm.
think outside the box about these events and like who we're impacting. And that all comes back to the community, because it's more than just one individual or entity. So brick and mortar versus business to business. So Kelly, I'm going to have you speak a little bit about spaces. So you already kind of have. So I think the who is very similar. But when you have a space, obviously brick and mortar, like being at the volleyball gym, that is your facility. You can host events there. You can, have people come. But when we do that communal tie of you recruiting a friend, like who are we trying to get?
Um, well, for me specifically,
Just in general, like what are you trying to accomplish? Like who's the who?
oh, the who are
Mm-hmm.
injured athletes mostly right
Love it.
now.
Yep.
Injured
Yep.
adolescent athletes. Yeah.
Love it. Yep. So those are prospective. Um, I'll just say athletes, injured athletes, because we could be any age. But adolescent specifically for your niche, but I'll just say injured athletes. And then the big thing here is who are these? These are prospective
Mm-hmm.
clients or patients. Prospective client or patient. Okay. So now, brick and mortar versus B2B. So business to business would be more of our mobile therapists. So for instance, this would be someone who is going into a specific entity, promoting their services or doing an event. So I use myself for this. So Kelly, you were perfect, nailed it. You at Skyline would be the brick and mortar. Me, I am doing a couple events this coming year, one of which will be like an in-person cupping for a business around town. And then another one is going to be me hosting like a fitness class at an apartment complex. So it's
Mm-hmm.
like you're taking your services, you're doing a discounted rate. Maybe the facility even offers a stipend. It depends. The apartment complex for me is going to be a little bit different. It's going to be like a VIP thing where the apartment pays for the apartment
Oh,
attendees to
cool.
come. Yeah. So it's still in the works, but I kind of wanted to just say, like, we're not always like pigeonholed to what we can provide, because also you don't always
Yeah.
know, like someone who's in that fitness class might have right shoulder pain, and that's a PT referral. So I just want
Mm-hmm.
to say, like, it all relates and they're very similar, the brick and mortar and the B2B. The only difference is the clientele will change based on the facility. Okay. All right. So what are we offering? So Kelly, you have force plates. So those are huge, right? So this could be
Mm-hmm.
something where you recruit a friend or even someone who you know at the volleyball gym to come in and use those force plates during a hot time where other
Yeah.
people are going to be there, and that they're going to be like, whoa, what are those, right? Or,
Mm-hmm.
we can, if you don't have force plates, right? Because not everyone on the team does, you could do dry needling, you could do cupping, you can do some mobs and teach them to do self-mobilization so that they have something to do after they leave and they feel like, whoa, she just gave me something I could do on my own. Awesome. And then they feel that emotional piece when they do that, or a few exercises that they feel better. Or you could just do some soft tissue on them and yeah, expand the skill set. So The biggest thing
Hmm.
I want to hammer home is it doesn't all have to be the same and it's not a one size fits all. But what's really important is with the B2B, the what. So it's very similar to the brick and mortar. However, what's in it for them in terms of the business is going to be a big question. So, as therapists and clinicians as a whole, we want to refer patients and clients to them and plug their events and keep their membership. So, when the facility is going to be like, okay, like what's in it for me? They're not going to probably directly say this to you, but you want to make sure that, okay, when I do this event and run this exercise class or run this free injury screen, it's going to allow your members to keep their memberships up and not cancel or freeze because they're going to have less injury. Does that sound good to you? And they're going to be like, yep. Because when you do B2B, the goal is not to have a monetary exchange, it's to have an exchange of services. So you're providing value for their facility by providing referrals as well. And they're going to refer out to you too so that they can keep their membership up or whatever specifically that facility is going for. And then frequency. So it's not just a one and done. That's the biggest thing. I feel like everyone's always like, yeah, I did an event and I'm good, right? Kelly, yeah, you know
Hmm.
this. It's
Hmm.
not one and done, right? Like patients come back. They have other injuries in other body regions. So I just kind of want to delve into frequency. So we could do as frequent as one time a month. We could do, one time every 3 months, and then 6 months, 6 months, and then 12 months. So you can decide what's going to work best um, for your given population and also the facility. But the biggest thing with this is it's repeatable, right? We want to repeat the events at a given cadence. And it doesn't have to be the same cadence every time, but I really want to hammer home the repeatability. So the frequency might be, like Kelly had said earlier in our conversation today, based on hot times. And what do I mean by hot? So practice times, games at the volleyball gym, right? If we're going
Hmm.
to a specific gym, maybe they're hosting an event or there's a sporting, event somewhere in town where there's going to be a ton of athletes because they're coming in for a tournament. Using those hot times with different facilities and complexes is really going to influence
Hmm.
your frequency and then make that repeatability easier for you because it's not just like, oh, I'm doing it really quick, one time a month because I want to. It's like, no, I'm doing it at this time, this day, because I know there's going to be a lot of people there because you're going to get more bang for your buck. So, what's in it for them? What do you think's in it for them when we run events, Kelly?
The business or the patient,
The
potential
patient.
patient. Yeah,
Patient.
because I do like that how you said you're, and I was just on a call and we were talking about sales, and how you said you're there. You just said you're running that event to keep them in the gym, to keep them
Mm-hmm.
coming back to that business who's so graciously hosting you. And so if we go in with that mindset too, that's a whole different situation, right?
Mm-hmm.
I'm here to just get patients. I just want patients. Or what if you're here to prevent injury this season for volleyball? Like
Yep.
that is that like you are going to exude that energy of that
Mm-hmm.
helpfulness, right? And so
Mm-hmm.
that is, what's in it. That what because what did you say for them? Yeah, that is what
Yeah.
what is in it for them as the business, but then also in return, the patient, the
Mm-hmm.
prospective patients, because those
Yes.
prospective patients can, one thing got backing up with community. When you talked about community, what you really were saying was their story. You were
Mm-hmm.
talking about their story. And so
Mm-hmm.
when we know their story and we know what drives them, that's what we want to get to, and that's what we want to sell to them. Not just sell to them, that's what we want to give them because we truly
Mm-hmm.
love what we do. We want to give them the ability to get their grandkids off the floor, to handle pickup, to play the whole season. That's what's in it for them. It's not just 4 visits and 3 home extras programs and X amount of hours logged doing these
Mm-hmm.
things. It's what's in it for them is this freedom and empowerment of like, you can do what you love because you handled this issue, and if it comes back, you have the tools to treat it yourself, or you can come
Mm-hmm.
back because we're going to keep coming back to those events and they're going to keep
Mm-hmm.
seeing us.
Love that. So I think the free and VIP, again, back to that, like decreasing their pain, increasing their confidence with those two things. Again, free with Alex Ramosi, like hitting that on the head. Like when you give something for free, like it is valuable, but it's not the whole package, but it gives them a taste of what we have to offer, or like a VIP discount. And that can be seasoned to taste based on the clientele and the given event. But you hit it directly, Kelly. Like we're selling the outcome and the vision and the value of our services, not just a, we're here to make money. That is absolutely not why we went into this profession. We're here to help people, and that's what we need to be casting the vision on. And then I just want to also touch on, lastly, before we kind of wrap up and open for questions, is the idea of like what's in it for them. Like, be okay with allowing patients to share like their transformation. So whether they share it live, and then maybe you run something like, I'll enter you in to win a dry needling, you put your name in this bucket if you share something, right? And they could just talk to someone who is up there if you recruit a patient like your friend, or they could like write out a testimonial on some cards that you have on your table, and then in return, they can be entered to win something. And that prize can be based on what you see will be best fit. But services are great because if they come once, they're likely to come back. And then
Hmm.
for the VIP events, or B2B more so, you could have them like demo an exercise that they learned and just kind of put them on the hot seat a little bit, and then they could be entered to get a free PT session after that or something. So just coming up with more unique ideas and things that's going to get people engaged, because sometimes it's easy, like you will have people who will walk by and they won't stop, right? So if you have like, oh hey, you could win this or do this, it just kind of brings people into to a less barrier to entry. Again, getting back to the free or VIP, like if they're going to win something for free, they might stop when they may not have, or they, their kids like, mom, I want to win that. So just another idea. And again, you don't have to do these things, but keeping the mindset open that there's always different outlets that you can take on, so that there's a lesser barrier to entry.
Yeah, that's so true. And I feel like if you're sitting there going, I just don't have any patience, it's like, well,
Mm-hmm.
get on Facebook and see what's going on.
Yeah,
You know?
exactly.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Or just go show up to the event and hand out cards. Like
Yes.
just talk to people, just put yourself out there. And
Yes.
when you are really with your intention is I'm here to help you with a problem. I have a
Mm-hmm.
solution to a problem you have,
Mm-hmm.
not I need revenue or I need
Mm-hmm.
patients, I need volume.
Mm-hmm.
That is so different than, that is
Mm-hmm.
selling versus like really caring versus helping.
Yes.
And that comes across when you talk to people.
I would agree. And I think the last little nugget I want to leave with before I ask if there's any specific questions is events are not a one and done. Like I said, they're repeatable so that patients and clients see who they can become over time. So it's
Yeah.
truly about their transformation. So that is exactly what Kelly just touched on. And it really shows when you sell in that way versus when you sell to put money in your pocket. And again, we're here to change lives. The revenue is just a byproduct. So let's exude
Yeah.
that company wide. And I hope this was helpful overall. But is there any specific questions that you have, Kelly, with regard to events, or any ideas that you've thought about that would be helpful for the team of upcoming events? Being that you do have those fancy force plates now, I'm sure the wheels are turning.
Oh my gosh. And the stuff, like the numbers and the programs that I'm pulling off of there, like just getting all of the metrics and putting them in Chat GPT and just like a what's in it for you. I'm basically building like my own chat for like force play and for all of the Vault products. A lot
Yeah.
of it is like the rate of peak force, like how fast you can
Yeah.
get to peak force
Uh-huh.
and peak force distribution because it's a direct correlation to performance in
Mm-hmm.
athletes. This
Yeah.
is funny because these are all things I like never thought I'd be interested in. Like I'm only
Here we
interested in
are.
spine, and here I am. Yeah, and it is fascinating like what Chat GPT can do for that. Because like I know as a provider what that means for the parent and the patient.
Mm-hmm.
But like to pull off and like be able to give them this letter of like, hey, here's these numbers, like you're really fast, but you're not very strong in comparison
Mm-hmm.
because there's even normative values, all of that to geek out on that I'm doing several of those right now. But for event wise, what I have coming up is just offering, as I'm getting used to like just the tech and like uh, converting that into visits and like information for patients and parents, is just
Yeah.
offering it at a discount for
Love
some
that.
volleyball teams as season starts.
VIP right there. Killing it.
Exactly, exactly. But
Yeah.
then, yeah, so they would be my VIPs because they're the very first ones as well.
Mm-hmm.
And then also, like for my son's team, is to just show up and be like, hey, this is something that we think is important and we want to do. And using that to get footage and to get,
Mm-hmm.
to get reps in. I think there's
Mm-hmm.
always like, that's another mindset I would encourage providers to think about. Like, when they're doing events, like it's not all about patients. Like you're getting reps,
Mm-hmm.
you're getting content, you're
Mm-hmm.
getting exposure,
Yep.
you're just getting better at selling, and the more you
Mm-hmm.
sell, the more you can
Mm-hmm.
sell, you know. So
100%.
that's really important. But I do have one question for you.
Yes.
So you're talking about the frequency. Is
Yes.
that something that you try to like kind of know ahead of time so that you can tell number one, the business, and then number two, like the people that you're interacting with, like, hey,
Yeah.
that's a really good question, and I'll actually be back in 3 months. And we
Yeah.
can talk about that again, or you can skip book before. Is that something you kind of work on
Yeah.
before?
So I think there's kind of two ways to approach this. So facility, entity, and individual, right? So with you having brick and mortar spaces, it's easy because you have like, your leads and they're coming in. That's more of an individual base. You can still, reach out to the community by showing up again, right? But I also will go a step further and just kind of put feelers out. I will always follow up 2 weeks after. So if you get a new lead, you always want to make sure you're top of mind, like you had said before. So following up with anyone who inquired, anyone who entered into the raffle, anyone who received free or VIP services, just to see where they're at, right? Like what are the next
Mm-hmm.
steps? Because that's a warm lead. If we're not nurturing it, it's not going to lead to anything. So that's top of mind, number one. Number two would be at the complex or facility level. Yeah, looking ahead, like what's next, right? Like if for you with volleyball, like if there's big tournaments coming up, that's like bread and butter for force plates, right? Because it's like, okay, someone might need to, have an hour in between matches where you help work on them, or they're like, hey, my knee's hurting, and you could, maybe not do the force plates there, but they're sitting there, and maybe you could have someone come in and use them. So it's like, it all
Mm-hmm.
depends on events, but also I will make sure to follow up individually too, because that's going to be right the referral source. And the whole reason we did the event is to obtain more clients. So if you're not following up with the patients or prospects individually, I feel like sometimes they don't feel heard. But from an event
Mm-hmm.
basis, 110%, always looking ahead and seeing what's going to work best for them and doing it ahead of time, because someone else might want to pop in or get ahead of you. So
Mm-hmm.
just being top of mind at the event level, and also the client and patient and prospect level.
How many patients did you get from your event you did recently? The
So
cupping event.
I got pretty much every single one for cupping again. And then two, so it was 5 back-to-back kind of sessions. It's a smaller business. So it was all 5 employees who were there came, and they did
Okay.
cupping VIP, and I'm going to run another one probably in February or March, depending on when I seal the deal on this apartment complex thing. So we're shooting around February just because it'll work well for everyone. But essentially, 5 of those want to do cupping again, right? So that's why I'm going to do another event. And then in addition to that, 2 of them converted to in-person evals on top of the cupping. So it's like almost a 50% conversion at that point, beyond just the same service. So I think that's where I really shed light on not getting pigeonholed, because they love the cupping, right? Everyone's like, woohoo, but then there might be an underlying injury that they've been putting off. So even if
Yeah.
you do dry needling on them, Kelly, and then you're like, oh yeah, you'd benefit from a couple more sessions. You got a dry needling pack. Maybe they need a full blown eval. So that's great too.
So you didn't have it open to their customers, it was just their staff.
Yes.
Oh, okay, that's really
Mm-hmm.
cool. That even makes
Yeah.
me like think even more because that does feel very VIP, right? Like,
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
hey, I
Yeah.
want to come and I just want to like treat y'all. Like I'm
Yeah.
thinking like a referring doctor's office. Like
Yes.
I just want to come and for your front office, I'm going to
Mm-hmm.
offer free cupping today.
Yes. Love that. And you know what else you do then? So I left my business cards. So then anyone who comes in and they talk about like during a session, because like this specific entity is a bunch of nurses, so they really get a lot of one-on-one time with patients. So they'll give my business card to people too. So I
Yes,
have yet to
especially
get
if
a
you treated
referral from that.
them.
Yeah, but
But if
they
you're
always.
follow up,
Yes. So that's been fun to just like cast a wider net, and like just know, like, even if they want to do an event again and you don't get like a physical therapy referral, that's a win, because that's a 5 for 5
mm-hmm,
close rate. They want to do it again. And then maybe
mm-hmm.
next time it's like a lower barrier to entry. They're like, you know what? My left knee's been hurting. Can you help me with that too? And you're like, yep. So it's a really good way to just like never be pigeonholes, and just don't feel like defeated, because you're always, if you're top of mind, they're going to keep you there.
Yeah, yeah, that's great. That's
Cool.
awesome. Well, thank you so much. That make like
Thank
has
you.
my like the ball is rolling of like
I
where
love it.
I like the treating the staff to stuff. Like
It's fun and it's really
that's
personable. And then it's
cool.
just not random people, you know?
Yeah. And like you're a customer there. So it's like, hey,
Yes.
I just really want to help you feel better because I care about you. And then they're
Yes.
going to see that and it translates. Well, awesome. Well, thank you so
Yes.
much for sharing this. Our
Thank you.
next sales call will be in a couple of weeks, and
Hmm.
we will be talking it could be for providers, but also even patient focused of like what
Yeah.
these force plates are doing and just kind of looking at like some of the data, but like the so what of it. Because
Love it.
it's cool, but so what? Right.
Yeah. I love
And
that.
so I want to dive into that a little bit more. So we'll be going over that,
I
but
can't
we are
wait.
so glad people are here and watching this video, and I know it'll be helpful to so many people. So we'll see everyone in a couple of weeks.
Bye.